Hospitality technology isn't just for the big pub players. Family-owned tech provider Zonal has worked with operators big and small for more than 40 years to help operators cut costs and run efficient businesses that provide memorable experiences and boost the bottom line. Zonal is a trusted BII partner, and we are delighted to be working with them on this new podcast series, highlighting some of the best licensees in the business. For more information about what Zonal's technology can do for your pub, please do visit their website. So I'm delighted to welcome Michelle Gilmour this morning from the Old Windmill in Coventry, who was one of our Licensee of the Year award finalists back in June this year. Hi, Michelle, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. As you know, hopefully already, we've been doing a series of podcasts called Pioneering Pub People. We did them last year, and we're picking them up again this year with our Licensee of the Year finalists. So really excited to speak to you about your journey, about your pub, about your teams, and find out some more about your fantastic venue. So first of all, give us a flavour of the Old Windmill. What sort of a pub is it?
So the Old Windmill is a 500-year-old traditional wet-led pub. We do a small food offering of cheese boards, ploughmans, pork pies. It's a very eclectic mix because it's in the city centre. So we have your students as well as your professional couples, as well as your retired elderly people. And yeah, it's just we're real ale driven. We're a real ale pub, and that's what we're passionate about. But we do craft, we do cider, we do 35 different ciders, 30 different gins, 12 different whiskies. So yeah, we've got a bit of everything.
Fantastic. And you said your customer base is quite eclectic. Do you, as a city centre pub, have a sort of community feel though? I know that's something that some of the regulars or older customers particularly might bring to you.
Yeah, definitely. So we always have those regulars that you see at the same time every day that come in, have the same pint, and all know our names. We all know their names, and they've been drinking here for like 10, 20 years. And then we use all local suppliers for all of our food and supplies, and we have good relationships with them. We're constantly raising money for the local charities, so we have a good relationship with them. Yeah, so it's nice.
Fantastic. It just goes to show that it doesn't matter where pubs are, they are so important to their communities. Doesn't matter what the demographic is, what the kind of profile of the customer base is. It's so vital for bringing people together. Okay, so how long have you been at the Old Windmill?
It's coming up to 13 years now.
Wow, that's quite a long stint. And yes. And what made you take on the Old Windmill specifically? Were you offered it? Did you go out and look for it? Was it a pub that you'd always wanted to run?
No, I was 18 and I came in for a drink, and I fell in love with the place. I thought it was the most amazing pub I'd ever been in. It's got all real fires and beams, and it was needed work, but I thought it was beautiful. And my friend worked here, and she was leaving, so she got me her job just as a part-time bar staff. And I left and worked in some other pubs, but never really forgot about the Windmill. And when they needed a new manager, I applied for the job.
Fantastic. So that's quite a young age to start off in the trade, and you say you started off as part-time bar staff and then went round. What would you say to people starting off in the trade now and looking at where you are now as opposed to a part-time bar staff when you were 18?
I'd say get as much experience working in a pub before you own one. It's massively important.
Yeah.
You can't just buy a pub and expect to run it. I literally worked from part-time to full-time to assistant manager to manager, and it's the only way to learn this trade. There's not any training for a lot of it. A lot of it is experience and finding your way of doing things. And you meet a lot of people in the trade that way, and you build a lot of connections. And yeah, I just be aware that there's no work-life balance a lot of the time. It takes your all. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. It's not something you can do as a hobby. This is a proper career and needs a lot of training.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the days of people sort of sitting on the end of the bar and drinking with customers and not really doing very much work in the pub itself are long gone.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So in terms of your background then, obviously you've been in hospitality pretty much all your working life. And what changes have you made with that experience that you've gained when you came into the pub and since?
So I changed the way that the staff work. So when I started in the pub trade, your rotas were given out the Sunday for the Monday, only a week at a time. You were put on split shifts, so you do like 12 till 4, you'd have 4 hours off, then you'd be back for the night shift. You would not have set hours, not set times. It was awful. So I decided that's not how I wanted to work, so it wasn't how I was going to make my staff work. So we have set shifts, rotas are done 8 weeks in advance. You have a day shift or a night shift, there are no splits. And it's just a much nicer way of working, and it suits people. They can plan their lives, they can plan their holidays. So that was a big change. And then training, I noticed that you walk into a pub and staff can't change a barrel, or the staff can't clean a line, and that I was seeing all the time. So I was like, no, everybody that works here needs to know how to do absolutely everything. So whether you work 1 day a week or you're full time, you know how to change every single barrel, you know how to clean every single line, you know how to do the gas, I mean, everything. So you are not left in a vulnerable situation on a shift where that's gone, I don't have to change it, the customer's looking at you like, I want my pint. So they were big changes. Just getting the staff more involved in the business. I didn't want them to be treated like they were just temporary and this was a stopgap for them. I wanted them to, even if they weren't planning on staying, to get something out of it, but also give me their all. So I made sure all the staff do their personal license, so they've got a qualification, but I also make sure that they understand that the job is not just serving pints. I expect them to talk to the customers, to feed back to me what's going on in the pub, what changes need to be made, and what input they can have. And that's been really useful, pushing the business forward.
Amazing. And like you say, I mean, my nearly 18-year-old is working in a pub, in a kitchen, and all the things that you've described are still happening. So he doesn't get his shifts until the Sunday night for the Monday, changes all over the place. And if you're not checking, your messages or your apps, quite often he doesn't, because, he's a teenager. He has no idea what's happening and then goes, oh no, I need to be at work. So doing rotas 8 weeks in advance is really impressive, and I guess it means the kind of organisation and the planning falls to you in the first instance. But once you've got that going, it's probably not that difficult to manage, is it?
No, honestly, I find it better. I don't want to spend every week doing rotas. I spend a couple of days every 8 weeks and it's done, it's set. And, I give them the flexibility. So if they want to swap shifts with each other, so if something does come up in those 8 weeks, or if they say, oh, Shall, I want to book holiday, I'll cover them so they can go have it off. It's not solid. There's that flexibility there, but I'm not doing rotas every week, and the staff aren't, going Sunday. When am I working? What am I doing?
Yeah. And there's there are times that you need to flex, but I would imagine that you get more out of people if you need a favour rather than leaving them to kind of scrabble around and worry about what's happening next week. So brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And what would you say is your pub's USP? What's your unique selling point? What brings people back to you time and time again? Because as a city centre venue with a really mixed demographic, there must be, lots of different things that people enjoy. But what's the one main thing, would you say?
I think the staff are a big part of that. Their personalities, their passion, their friendliness. That's what people come back for. Service. I mean, you can have a great pint, but if it's served badly and it's a miserable staff behind the bar, nobody's coming back no matter how good that beer is. And I'm very, very lucky. My team are amazing. They're very good at what they do, and they're just nice, friendly people. And then I think quality and consistency, so people can rely on you time after time after time that the beer's good and the food's good. And then we're just a little different from everywhere else. These days you tend to be either a gastro pub or a completely wet led, and they all seem quite samey, whereas nobody does a menu like we do it. Nobody really looks like we look. And so, yeah, I think we're just a little bit different.
Well, it certainly stood you in good stead getting you through to the finals for Licensee of the Year award. So you must be doing lots of things right. So tell us a bit more about your menu then. You say you're not, you don't focus on food, but what you do is stuff that obviously people like to come back to. So tell us a bit more about how you design that and why you make the choices you do.
Well, we knew we needed to offer some sort of food just to keep customers here, because we were losing customers because they get hungry and then they go and they look for food. But we definitely didn't want to be a food pub. We thought there were enough food pubs around, and we didn't want that vibe. I find in a wet led pub, there's more of a community, there's more of a chatting and talking, and so we wanted to do food without being a food pub. So we thought, well, cold menu, we haven't got a commercial kitchen anyway, so we can't cook. And then we thought, well, what goes with beer? What goes with wine? These are the biggest things that we sell. Cheese. And so we launched cheese boards, followed by ploughmans, pork pies, pate boards. These are all things that we could do very simply, very quickly, that wouldn't smell out the pub. The pub's not smelling of chips, that wouldn't feel to somebody like they're a big meal, so they couldn't stop drinking, but was enough to fill them up so they'd stay longer. And it's worked out really, really well.
Oh, I absolutely can't think of anything better than a ploughman's or a cheese board. I think it's actually a really modern way of people eating and kind of grazing boards and all of those sorts of things. So sounds fantastic. I can't wait to come and try. And also, I guess doing food, you need to make sure you've got your costs covered as well. So obviously, be it with a cold menu, you've not got the energy costs for heating and cooking and all of those sorts of things. But obviously, all of those things you mentioned can be kind of cross-pollinated with ingredients. So you can have a board that's got some mini pork pies on it, or you can have the salad goes with everything, or the bread goes with everything. So a really efficient way of managing costs as well, I imagine.
Yeah.
And you said you use local suppliers as well, which is another great aspect. Do you sort of change up the menu according to what they've got available, or
with the cheese we do? So the cheeses can change quite a lot depending on what they've got in, and they have special offers on some of them, and so we do that. That's really nice, just to keep it changing, so it's not the same thing all the time. But it's really good. We use our local butchers for the pork pies. They're freshly baked in the morning, and you can only get them at our pub. You can't buy them anywhere else, which is nice.
Excellent. So you have to go to the Old Mill for a lovely pork pie and a pint. Amazing. And then you've touched on your team a couple of times, so about how brilliant they are, and you give them a lot of credit, and you did in throughout your Licensee of the Year award process. They shone through as being really important to you. How do you recruit? Do you recruit on personality and train the rest, or is it a bit of a mix of experience and then teaching them your way of doing things? How do you go about it?
A bit of both. Sometimes I prefer a blank canvas because they've got no bad habits. I can train them the way that I do things. There's nothing difficult about the job, so I can teach them to pull a pint, to clean a line. So that sort of experience I don't really need. So I'll take people on that have never done pub work before quite often. But then there's sometimes where it's not necessarily skills, it's the experience of dealing with problem customers, with having that confidence to deal with the situation, and the confidence to manage staff, to organise them, to tell them to pull up their socks when they're not doing enough, to applaud them when they're going above and beyond. And that is something that sometimes I have to hire based on someone that's got that kind of confidence.
Yeah. And do you have a lot of young people working in the pub that you have to sort of nurture that confidence in?
My age range goes from 18 up to 71.
Amazing.
So we do every age. At my management team actually tend to be older. A couple of them have had their own restaurants or had their own pubs, and wanted more of a work-life balance and less stress, and have retired, and they come and do this and they love it because it's the best parts of the jobs they always love, without all the stress and the drama that I deal with.
Yeah, I was going to say that all falls to you then. Amazing. So how many members of staff do you have in the pub at the moment?
15.
15. Okay, and you manage all the rotas 8 weeks in advance, so they all know what they're getting. But yeah, amazing. And do you struggle when you need to recruit, or does that come up very often? Obviously it's a hot topic for our industry at the moment.
Yeah, I don't really struggle, because students are always readily available, especially when you live in a city with 2 universities. But I pay more than minimum wage. So actually attracting staff is a lot easier for me. Unfortunately, people still pay under 23s a lot lower rate. So you, as an 18-year-old, can go and get £6 something an hour in most pubs, where I'll pay you £10.60. It's massive. And that obviously gets their attention. And then the fact that we have a training program, and you can progress from, a bar staff to a manager, and that you will get training, and our reputation for the kind of pub that we are, it's where your parents want you to work. It's you'll be looked after. So yeah, we are quite lucky in that way, that we don't tend to struggle too much with staffing, but touch wood.
Yeah, amazing. Well, like you said, throughout the lawyer process, paying above minimum wage for everybody, regardless of age, is really key. Again, my son is being paid the minimum that he has to be paid for his age. And I don't see him lasting the course in that role, which is, might be different if the role was paying better, or if it was working for you. Unfortunately, Coventry's a little bit of a hike from where we are, so I can't send him your way, but maybe one day. Okay, so just having a chat quickly about then Licensee of the Year award, and you reaching the finals of that. Tell me a bit about how that journey went for you, and what the best bits were for you.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It was a great process. I loved how professional it was. I really thought that everybody saw my pub for what it was and what I was doing, and could see what we were trying to accomplish. And we've not really had that before. I think sometimes when you apply for awards before you get recognition, it's all on paper, and they don't really see or go into as much detail as the Licensee of the Year award did. But yeah, they looked at everything, and I learned a lot. I learned things I could improve on. I got to look at my business from the outside, from a completely different point of view, and it really helped me understand my own business better. And I mean, the day itself was brilliant. The food was lovely, the people were lovely, the whole atmosphere in the when the awards were being done was amazing, and getting to meet lots of different people that I'm sure I'll see again, and being able to talk to people that knew exactly where I was, what I was doing, and being able to bounce off them how it was for them and what they were doing. It was great, really good experience.
Brilliant. Well, we really enjoyed it, as we always do, but what we really enjoy as a team is seeing all the friendships that people make with each other as finalists on the day, and the relationships that you form over a really short space of time, because you've met each other on email or WhatsApp beforehand, but really it's kind of 24 hours that you're together, just over, and it's lovely to see everybody being really supportive and genuinely pleased for each other that they're there. And this year particularly, I think we had such a different range of pubs and people in the finals. It was brilliant. It's not just about a kind of chocolate box pub. It's about what you do as licensees, what you've taken and worked with over the years for your pubs, and it's just fantastic to see. The favourite part of my job, hands down. Do you enter a lot of other awards? You said that you do, when you've entered awards in the past, it's just been all judged on paper. Do you think you'll continue to enter awards?
Yeah, not all of them. I mean, we entered the Great British last year, and they did a mystery customer and a few other steps, and that was really good. Really enjoyed that, and that was a great one. So, and there are a couple more I've looked at. So yeah, I definitely enter some more, because I think no matter what you enter, you learn a lot, and it's worth doing, and the PR that comes with it is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's multifaceted, isn't it? It's about learning about your business. It's about shouting about, your achievements. And like you say, the PR is not unhelpful either.
No, I think you've just got to be aware you've got to be doing better. If I thought I hadn't improved from last year, I wouldn't apply again. But if I think that I've improved, I would definitely go for it again.
Amazing. Well, we're looking forward to that. So what's next for you and the team at the Old Windmill?
So we're just really defining our offer and just perfecting it at the minute. We're having a new kitchen fitted and doing some more work on the pop-up garden. We've this week launched a brand new jazz night, which is going on every week, and we're getting more. We're bringing everything in-house. So I used to outsource kind of my payroll and my HR and all that sort of stuff. So now we do our own payroll. We've got apps for our rotors, and we're getting a lot more streamlined. A lot less old school.
Excellent. And we've had a chat before about tech and how it can help you in your business. But you admitted that the old Windmill is quite old school in terms of the systems that you've got in place. But you have got another pub that you manage, the Rainbow. So tell us a little bit about the Rainbow.
So the Rainbow is a village pub. We've only had it for 6 months. It needs a lot of work. It's a do-over. But it was another pub very similar to the Windmill. It's like 400 years old. It's got open fires. We do real ale. But instead of city centre, it's village, and it's got a massive outdoor space, which the Windmill didn't have for such a long time. So having that outdoor space, we put on a music festival 2 weekends ago, which was phenomenal. And we've been able to use more modern equipment in there because when we went in, I had the Windmill so long. When we did the car machines, did the tills, and I've just stuck with those companies because they've looked after me, so I don't want to leave them. But it was like starting afresh for the Rainbow. So yeah, we've done the same menu there, but I think that will change. We've took what we could from the Windmill to get it going, and then it's slowly evolving into its own thing.
And so how much does that data and those kind of back office reports help you to kind of analyze your business and make changes that you need to, do you think?
So seeing what you're taking on a day-to-day, it helps with rotors. You can see exactly when your busy time is, and you can really work your rota to that, so you've got no wasted staff hours. So that's quite useful. You can see what nights are working and what nights aren't. And you can see where you need to maybe put things on because you're not covering your costs. And then products, it'll break down all your products. So what are you selling lots of, what are you not selling? So you can take those products off you're not selling a lot of and maybe try something else. Yeah, it is useful in lots of different ways.
So it's a big step change for you working in a relatively low tech environment with the Old Windmill to the Rainbow having a bit more support from back office functions.
Yeah, it's nice having the data. I mean, I get that data at the Windmill, but I have to wait till like stock take.
So you can't make those
in the moment. I get it every month.
Yeah.
So it means that you can adapt quicker because you're getting that information immediately rather than having to wait for your stock take, then go through it and then make the changes. And if I can see, on my phone that they're getting really, really busy, I can pop down, I can give them a hand. There are little things like that you can do in the moment that you can't when you're always a month behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also had a quick chat about how kind of tech has helped you. And one of the things you mentioned was your guest Wi-Fi and people selecting, that's fine, you can mark it to me. So tell me how many people you've had and what that's meant for you.
Yeah, so in the last 2 months, we've had over 600 people not only log on, but opt to receive promotional material from us, which means that I can then text them directly to their phones, email them directly with what offers we've got on, with what events that we've got on. And it's a really powerful tool to really let people know what's going on in the pub. Because you've got your Facebook and your social medias and stuff, but people don't sometimes miss that. They can't miss it when it's right there on their phone. And if you've suddenly got a surplus of stock you want to get rid of, you can quickly do an offer, bing all these people, and it's really clever.
Amazing. Okay. And you were also saying about communication with staff. Obviously, you've got your 8 weeks rotas out, but you've got WhatsApp that you use to make sure everybody's in touch with each other. Has that helped you in the last few years?
Yeah, definitely. The WhatsApp has been brilliant, really, because you say you implement something. So if before WhatsApp, I tell my manager, who then tell my assistant manager, but until you worked with those people, you didn't find out. And then sometimes they'd forget by the time they worked with somebody and the message was never passed off. When you put it in the WhatsApp, it's there for everybody to see before they even start their shifts. So they already know what's going on before they step behind that bar, rather than stepping behind that bar and that person hopefully remembering to tell them, but they might be serving 5 customers first and the customer's already asked and you've not had a chance to tell them. So it just cuts all that out of it.
Puts the onus on the staff as well, I guess, to be looking at that and remembering, rather than the onus on you guys to make sure you've ticked everybody off a list.
Yeah, I mean, we do both. Obviously, we will tell them when we see them, just in case they miss the WhatsApp. But the really important stuff, I do put in capital letters on the WhatsApp in a different colour, exclamation marks. Please read.
That's the thing, isn't it? Once people get used to a certain method of communication, you need to find something else that grabs their attention so that they do actually look at it.
Yeah, I mean, anything too big, we have monthly or 2 monthly meetings where we all come in person and we all go over everything and what we've got planned for the next couple of months. So, yeah.
So it's a mixture of face-to-face and tech. Excellent. And then in terms of the big sort of end question, so we always ask a slightly different question at the end of our podcast episodes. And I'm going to ask you, what's been your biggest mistake in terms of business, and what did it teach you? How did you learn from it? I
think my biggest mistake was trying to do everything myself. I went through a long time where, especially when you start in the pub trade, I could run this pub by myself. I could do every shift. I could be HR, I could be payroll, and I did it all for longer than I needed to. I had some amazing staff that could have done it. And I've learned that actually they are better at some things than I am, and it makes way more sense for them to do it because it gives them a role in the pub that they appreciate, and they can do something they're good at, which they love doing, and I can focus on the stuff that I am good at without wasting my time on the things that I'm not so good at. And so that was a big learning curve for me, but it's been massive in the growth of the pub to learn to let people get more involved.
It's a big thing though when it's your passion and you know you've worked really hard for it and it's your project to let go of that. I think a lot of people in the industry do struggle with that because you kind of think, well, what am I here for if everybody else can do the jobs? But like you say, it frees up your time for the next phase and growing the business. So fantastic. Michelle, thanks so much for joining me today, taking the time out of your busy morning. So been great to speak to you, and the best of luck with both the Windmill and the Rainbow.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Molly.
Thanks. And finally, a huge thank you to our trusted partner Zonal for their support with this podcast series. They work with thousands of independent hospitality operators across the UK and have EPOS rental packages available designed specifically for pubs to help increase efficiency and boost revenue. For more information about what Zonal's technology can do for your pub, please do visit their website.